If you're going into the criminal justice system, I have no doubt that you want the same thing that everybody else wants. That's how do I get out earlier? Well, the reality is you've got to make yourself vulnerable, and you've got to be willing to dig deep and lay out a plan. And that plan is going to evolve over time, just as our plan has evolved over time. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I'm here with my partner, Justin Pernie. Together, we're going to talk about training the members of our team and also members of our community so they could see in real time, what does it mean to make yourself vulnerable? What does it mean to lay out a plan? You've got to go on record. And we're just going to go through a concept paper that's available on many of the pages of prisonprofessors.org. Starting with Justin, you've looked at the concept paper. I see you're holding it now.
I've looked at it. I'm reviewing it. I have a couple of questions. Let me start by reading the first line, then I have a question. It says, May 10, 2025, condensed version of our concept paper. We were reviewing it a few days ago on May 5th. It's clearly updated again on May 10th. Walk us through the constant revisions and updating almost what appears to be day by day.
So this is a lesson I learned while I was in prison. Very early on, I was influenced by books that I read that just taught me how to think differently. And at one stage in the journey, I remember reading one book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And basically, that book was designed to help business leaders reach a higher potential. And the skills that they have to do at one stage are going to put them in a position to do other things. The reason that I update this every day is because I make 100% commitment to bringing this change. And the change that I'm striving to bring is to maybe close all minimum security camps, because anybody who's inside of a camp, in my view, should be home. To introduce work release programs in federal prison, so somebody who works hard can work to earn freedom through merit rather than just waiting for enough calendar pages to turn. It will be to create mechanisms through which somebody might be able to demonstrate why they are a worthy candidate of clemency or leniency at sentencing, or transition to a home confinement type setting. All of that is a big body of work. And that big body of work requires that we do a lot of engagement with people who are going into the system, helping them recognize their role in changing the system, working with administrators that run prisons or staff members who work in prisons, help them recognize their role, with citizens, helping them recognize how do we focus on the result that we want, which is people coming home as law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, not just focusing on the punishment. To do that requires me to interact with a lot of people and learn. And the more lessons that I learn, the more I realize, okay, I have to adjust. I have to accommodate. It wasn't long ago that we received news that the California Department of Corrections, their budget had been cut, and they no longer would have funding to provide educational resources to, more than 100,000 people who are serving sentences inside the California Department of Corrections. That's a data point. That means that I have to find ways to generate more resources so that we could give those away for free, because that scale is really what we need to change the system. We need to show that people who work through Prison Professors programming is more likely to emerge with their dignity intact, with opportunities to prosper and to lead a life of meaning and relevance and dignity. So that change in the first installment of this concept paper, I wrote about what we were doing, but I evolved it. I changed the system somewhat to incorporate that news I was getting from California and saying, okay, how am I going to respond? So this is really the strategy that got me through. When I started, it's not going to get me there if I don't keep my head in the game and look at what we're doing and figure out what else do we have to do. And I hope that's where you find that responsive to your question.
Can you wrap it up, this video, with how you responded to CDCR after you got the notice, and what is the result?
Yeah,
what's happening right now?
I mean, so CDCR had a contract with me that they paid the nonprofit, or they paid me a fee for a annual licensing fee to provide our programming in every state prison in California. But in this era of budget cutting and high inflation, there are results that follow from that. When a president cuts funding to one state, the governor is responsible for managing his budget. There's going to be lower tax revenues, and so he's going to have to make decisions. The reality is that people in prison are going to be very low on the list of priorities for any chief executive officer. I understand that, and I have to step up and do something about it. So I told California, not a problem. Let me donate it for free. I'll make it for free. And that meant I have to work toward getting support from either high net worth individuals or business leaders and help them understand we've got a big problem in this country. People serving long sentences. I want those people to come home ready to go to earn a living, ready to get a job. And as a person who served a quarter century in prison, I have a responsibility and a duty to further that mission. But the government doesn't have money to pay for it. So we'll pay for it. And we try to get people to match what we invest.
It's just not donating resources like clicking a button and they're going to get it. It's also, as I understand it, you're still visiting prisons, and weren't you at Folsom recently? So it's not just
I was at Folsom last week. I'm going to Sacramento State Prison, high security prison, to do a full day seminar on June the 2nd, I believe. So yeah, I go through prisons routinely.
So you talk a lot about changes in like our business and the nonprofit from 2008 till now. In 25, to be able to donate resources and time without any revenues coming in is like a big change from perhaps when you just come home from prison in 13. That would have been harder to do, right? Or help us understand what that would have been like in 2013 or 14 if you get that message that says, sorry, we love your work, we don't have the money.
What got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
That is the key to this whole video. And that's something that every individual should be thinking about. Regardless of what stage in the journey you're in, you got to think about, what can I do today, given the resources that I have, given the external circumstances of my life, what can I do? Yeah, when I got out of prison, I didn't have the resources that I have right now. And I'm very proud to say the decisions that I made in prison has given me more resources than many people think a guy like me should have. I'm very transparent about that. And the reason I'm transparent about that is because that was the mission that got me through prison. While I was going through prison, it was super important to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to get it done. I invite you to hold me accountable. And if any, that's what the whole prisonprofessors.org website is about, is there's a section on there that says the founder, and you could go either to the influences that influenced my thinking through the journey. You can go to the daily blog. Every day we publish new content with lessons that prompts people how to think. And then there's accountability log. And that accountability log will show, what does real accountability mean? I don't come with platitudes. My life changed. While I was in prison, people said what I couldn't do. I laid out a plan to say what I could do. And that plan led to a lot of opportunities where many mentors came into my life. I got an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, became a published author, interacted with some of the leading penologists in the country, had a role in trying to change the system while I was in prison, and then got out of prison and continued following that path and built businesses and have earned millions of dollars. And because of that, I don't need money today. Nobody has to pay me anything. This is a ministry. I'm grateful to White Collar Advice for sponsoring it, but that's what I want people to see. If you want to get through the crisis today and focus on the result of what you want to become, you've got to follow a plan. And what you're doing today won't get you to where you want to be tomorrow. You've got to see the relationship. That's what you're seeing in this concept paper. It's that, yes, things are different for me today than they were when I came out of prison, but that wasn't luck. That was a deliberate plan requiring intentional decisions. And my plan now is to make more people eligible for home confinement, federal work release programs, more deliberate adjustments in prison so that people can get on with their lives and emerge as good law-abiding citizens.
So last topic before we go on to the mission, a lawyer in a recent LinkedIn comment on one of your posts was like, the nonprofit is trying to solve a problem with practically little or very little resources relative to like what the state has. They struggle to reduce recidivism with all this money and they try it. You're trying to solve it with, next to nothing. You're trying to solve a really big problem, which I presume is why you're bringing so much awareness to this system. I mean, it's a really big it's a really big task of what you're striving to do. I thought it was an interesting comment from the lawyer.
A lot of people don't recognize how the ancillary consequences of being the country that leads the number of people in prison. They don't recognize how a prison system that incarcerates 2 million people influences every citizen. Because money that is going to support America's prison system is money that's not going to build an infrastructure. It's not going to support healthcare. It's not going to support Social Security. It is going into a system, unfortunately, that a lot of time is just keeping the bureaucracy going. It's focused on the process and not the result. And the result is what I'm about. Focus on the result that we want. It's creating a pathway for people to work toward earning freedom. And that is a methodical, deliberate strategy. Your role is helping people build their life. My role is bringing incremental change to a macro system to get a result where we don't have not only the world's biggest prison population, but atrocious recidivism rates that are intergenerational in nature and that perpetuate cycles of poverty that I want to change.
So in the next video, we're going to talk about the mission. Before we do, I know you like to close with your 3 points that you convey in every video.
I would encourage people to look at prisonprofessors.org, download the impact paper, and read what Justin and I are going to be going through today. Throughout that process, you will see what I mean when I say through our 3 promises. 1, I'm never going to lie to anybody. 2, I'm never going to ask somebody to do something I didn't do while I was in prison and I'm not still doing today. And 3, nobody's ever going to have to pay me a penny. And there's a flip side to that. A lot of people try to reach out and connect with me. That's not my role. Anytime somebody wants to talk to me, I encourage them to go to your webinar that you sponsor for members of our community. It's free, and I know that you invite them to be interactive and bring their questions. We will close here, but go ahead and let them know when those webinars take place.
Every Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's really a workshop. It's engaging. If I just sit there and speak, it's of no value. You have got to do the work. You've got to come with questions. And I usually say at the end of the webinar, there's got to be some follow-up or something you need to do next if you truly want to get the best outcome. So every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific.
And where do they go?
whitecollaradvice.com/nonprofit. You'll get an email, you'll register, you'll get a text message responder. If you miss the webinar the following day, we send out the replay along with any of the resources we mention inside of the webinar.
We're able to do what we do because we have sponsorship from Justin and other people who share our mission. I am Michael Santos, founder of Prison Professors. We believe in you.